Hi, my name is Michael, and I want to share a story with you. It might not be very different from what others have experienced, as the usual signs were all there. Still, I'm going to tell it anyway. It started like any other Friday night. My wife, Andrea, had her usual girls' night planned. I didn't think much of it, even though I wasn't particularly fond of her friends. Two of them were single, and two were divorced. Up until then, nothing unusual had happened. Over the past few months, she had started going out with her friends every couple of weeks. It seemed harmless, a way for her to relax and recharge, or so I thought. She left the house around 7 p.m., wearing a tight red dress I hadn't seen her wear in years. "You look nice," I said, offering her a smile. "Thanks," she replied curtly, barely glancing at me as she grabbed her purse and walked out the door. It stung a little, but I brushed it off. Things have been tense between us lately. She'd been saying I didn't appreciate her enough or pay her enough attention. No matter what I did, bringing her flowers, offering to take her out to dinner, or even spending time watching her favorite shows, it was never enough. She would always accuse me of doing it just to make her happy, not because I genuinely wanted to. I'll admit, I do get busy with work. I've been trying to get ahead, so we could afford the vacation she'd been dreaming about. I thought I was doing the right thing, and even when I had time, I tried to make up for it. But it seemed like whether I worked or took time for myself, it was always a problem. That night, however, felt different. She usually didn't stay out past midnight on her previous girls' nights. But this time, it was nearly 6 a.m. when I finally heard her car pulling into the driveway. I stayed on the couch, the TV muted, pretending to scroll through my phone. The door creaked open, and Andrea walked in. But something was off. She was wearing a completely different outfit, a loose black tank top and leggings. Her makeup was smudged, her hair disheveled, and the smell hit me like a freight train. It was a mix of sweat, perfume, cologne, alcohol, and something else, something unmistakable. "Hey," she said casually, as if it were any other night. I stared at her, trying to keep my voice steady. "You changed clothes?" "Oh, yeah. I spilled a drink on my dress," she replied, avoiding eye contact as she set her purse on the counter. "And you didn't text or call to let me know you'd be late, that you'd be out the entire night." Her shoulders tensed. "It was girls' night, Michael. Do I have to check in with you every 5 minutes?" "It's common courtesy and respect," I said, standing up. "I've been sitting here worried something might have happened to you. Plus, you left in one outfit and came back in another and you smell like—" I trailed off, not wanting to say it out loud. Her face flushed, but she quickly masked it with a mix of arrogance and anger. "Are you accusing me of something? If you are, just say it." I stepped closer, my heart pounding. "Fine. Did you sleep with someone tonight?" She glared at me with defiance, a strange mix of intrigue and triumph in her eyes, before her gaze darted away. Her hesitation was enough to confirm what I already knew. "You're being ridiculous. Your trust in me is so low that you immediately jump to that conclusion. Andrea, don't. Just tell me the truth. Don't make this worse. What happened tonight?" She crossed her arms, her defensive stance crumbling under the silence between us. Finally, she whispered, "It was just one time. It didn't mean anything." I felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. My chest tightened, and blood rushed to my ears. "What?" She didn't say anything, just stared at the floor. "What the hell brought this on? What the hell made you do this?" I asked, stepping back, feeling my anger rising. I didn't want to make the situation worse by losing control. I stood there, staring at her as she stood silently, arms crossed, glaring at the floor. We stood in silence for several moments until my rational mind took over. That was it. I didn't care anymore. This had killed everything. I waved my hand dismissively and said, "You know what? It doesn't matter. I'm done. We're getting a divorce." That statement seemed to shatter her. She dropped her arms to her sides, and a look of terror crossed her face. "What? No, Michael, no." It didn't mean anything. Please, she pleaded, reaching toward me. But I backed away further. No, Michael, no, she cried, burying her head in her hands. They told me it would teach you a lesson, she said through muffled sobs. They said you'd start appreciating me more if you thought you could lose me. It was a mistake. I thought I was doing it to get your attention. I thought you'd stop ignoring me. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Her friends, 2 divorced women and 2 perpetually single ones, had convinced her to ruin our marriage to prove a point. I laughed bitterly, shaking my head. And you believed them, Andrea? This wasn't just a mistake. It was a choice. You chose to hurt me. I glared at her. Well, you definitely got my attention, just not in the way you hoped. Her tears turned into full-blown sobs, but I felt no sympathy. I felt nothing, just emptiness. I'm sorry, she cried. I didn't mean for it to go this far. It didn't mean anything. It was just physical. I love you, Michael. Don't tell me you love me, I said firmly, because love doesn't look like this. Love doesn't cheat and then come home claiming it was to teach me a lesson. She reached out again, trying to touch me, but I gently pushed her hands away. Michael, please. We can fix this. I grabbed my jacket and keys. No, Andrea. I'm done. I walked out the door. I didn't slam it. I didn't yell. I just left. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of change. I stayed with a friend and filed for divorce as soon as I could. Andrea tried calling, texting, and even showing up at my office, but I refused to see her. Her betrayal was a wound that wouldn't heal, and her friend's toxic influence had only made it worse. Over time, through her desperate pleas, I learned that her friends had been egging her on for months, convincing her that I was the villain in our marriage. The ironic part is, we might have been able to work things out if she had just talked to me. Maybe we could have gone to therapy or something. But now, none of that mattered. People often say that marriage is built on trust, but I learned the hard way how fragile trust is. Once it's broken, there's no going back. Don't ever let someone turn you into the villain in their story, especially if you've done everything you can to make the relationship work. Have dignity and respect for yourself. Get out of toxic situations and keep moving forward. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more tales about relationships, trust, and betrayal. Share your thoughts below. What would you have done in this situation? Thanks again for watching.